So this is Jenny Clark with Solvability, and today I've got my What's Up with Mitch episode, and we're going to be talking about how much can I afford to spend in overhead to get more work faster. Now that's almost a weird question. I'm not sure where I wrote it that way, but I guess what I was thinking is we know in order to grow a company, we've got to invest, but how far do you stretch yourself out? How far do you go in trying to build up your company or putting on more overhead so you can make things happen? Cost in federal contracting, like any other business, is what I call lumpy. You've got to spend some money and then work it off and turn it into revenue and keep going. And it would be great if it was always this other way around, where you get a new contract, you start generating some more revenue, and then you spend. But sometimes it isn't. So Mitch, as you know, is my imaginary client. Federal contractor, small business, knows what he's doing, knows what he wants to do, how to grow. He's learned how to get contracts. And he calls me when he has these irritating issues that are frequently related just to how to run the business, or what the cost looks like, or what he needs to be doing, or what his strategy is. So Mitch is a bottom line kind of guy. And he just says, Jenny, I just want it all to work. So he's asked me to explain some things, and here's some of the questions he came up with the other day. If we could increase revenue by X%, would it make sense to hire a BD person, business developer, to cover that agency target? Well, sure, Mitch, it would make sense. The question is, do you wait until contracts come in with that agency and you hire a business developer to try to get more work with the same agency, or maybe it's an IDIQ and you're going to have them to market that? Or are you saying that we need to set somebody up in a DC office to sit right across the hallway from the people that you're talking about at the agency so you can develop that work? Those are two different scenarios, and one of them is going to cost you a lot more, but at the same time, if that's an agency you believe you need to be in, you're going to have to spend to get there, and you know that. And you can't keep going up to DC every other week for that. You've got to find somebody that can handle that for you, because you need to be running the company. So I didn't answer his question, did I? All I'm really trying to say is, if you're expressing that concern to me, you probably already have the answer. All I want to do is help you discover it, because it's your decision. I can give you the information to tell you how much it'll cost or whatever we think it's going to be, and come up with some scenarios, but tell me what you need and we'll figure out how to do that. Mitch's next question is, if we hired another recruiter to fill those positions, can we pay a combination of base pay and commission? Well, sure. So you've got a contract that started and they told you, here's the 10 positions, and you're having a heck of a time filling those positions because it seems like everybody else has got the same requisitions they're trying to fill with the same job market out there. And the people they're asking for have to have very specific experience, and they have to have an active security clearance. And you know that even when you call them and tell them what the pay is going to be, they're not even going to return your call. Plus, you know that people aren't going to hang around while you wait to process a security clearance. So, not to be down about this, but yes, if you thought hiring another recruiter would help you fill those positions because you're bringing on more revenue faster, yes, it would probably be paid for quicker. So it could be a good investment if you think you're going to get results, or if you just feel like you want to try a different recruiter and get them going so you can decide if you want to get rid of the current recruiter because they're not getting the results you want. These are sad choices, but it has to be done. But yes, you can pay a combination of base pay and commission. You can choose however you want to have your compensation structure work, but you need to be clear about how you're going to evaluate that performance, because sometimes they might get the candidate all the way up to acceptance and everything else, and the candidate has some kind of illness and can't fill it. Are you going to pay your recruiter for that? You couldn't fill it. That's going to be hard to do. What you would typically have to do is say, I'm going to give you a percentage of the revenue as the revenue comes in, or something like that. Now, that's making for some complicated accounting. I'm not sure that I'd even recommend that to myself. But if you choose to do something with pay and commissions, you could also do periodic bonuses for performance where it's evaluated by you. And that would be less complicated to administer than a commission tracking that's based on revenue coming in the future that you don't have a lot of control over. Would it help us to get better tools for tracking opportunities, and which ones should we look at? I feel like the main thing you want to take a look at is what are your peers using, what kind of results are they getting, what is free, what could you be doing by managing better. Obviously, you can get GovWin, or you can get different ones that send emails back and forth and track things for you. The question is, do you have the bandwidth to manage that? Is there implementation to it? Or is it just setting up and it's just collecting or sucking in data and directing it to the dashboards that you've told it to? Yes, most companies benefit from having a consistent method because they've made a system that everybody can follow. And that's really, really important, is creating a system. But at the same time, everybody has their own preferences and everybody has their own training limitations. So whatever tool you use, make sure it's a fairly common one and that it's simple enough for them to learn and that it's adaptable, because otherwise you're going to have, whenever you hire a new business development person, this happens in payroll, happens in human resources, just the same. Whoever walks in says, I really liked that other system, can we switch? The next question is, how much are we paying for subscriptions and is it worth it? There are so many subscriptions you're paying for these days. Besides the things you're doing for business development to track opportunities, you've got subscriptions for listing jobs on different websites. You've got subscriptions for keeping up with security requirements. You've got subscriptions for so many different things. And it could be membership subscriptions. Are you in NDIA? Are you in Women in Defense? Are you in AFCEA? Are you in whatever different organizations you're in? How do you decide whether they're worth it and how to pay for it? And most companies will have an annual budget. They'll take a look at what they're doing. They'll try and look and say, are we active in that group, or do we show up? Are we a sponsor? Do we get results from it? What of the events do we go to? You need to really take a close look at that. Last one is, how do we decide where to spend our business development money for events and travel and meeting? Now, this has become a really big issue because it seems like there's so many different events you could go to, and it takes your time out of the office. You've got to have a follow-up process. You want to make sure that the people you want to talk to are there, or it's not going to be a useful, a good use of your time and your energy. And so again, most people try to have an annual budget of things they know they're going to spend on, and then have maybe a quarterly type budget that isn't allocated but available when the question comes up, because sometimes there's something new that hasn't been done before. Or another way that people do it is sometimes they'll say, well, we aren't going to go to anything new, we're only going to what we've gone to in the past. So these are all considerations that need to be taken into account if you're trying to figure out, you've got a lot of overhead cost, and you have to figure out, okay, what are we investing and what are we not getting results from? And so Mitch is right to say, I just want it all to work. And he's tired of people complaining and saying it's not working, and if I had this, everything would be perfect, because that isn't quite true. So Mitch is unstoppable. Are you? You know where you want to go. Solvability can help you get there with cost and pricing intelligence you need to accelerate and scale your business. Most of our clients get started with our free wrap rate calculator. That's just a simple spreadsheet to show you how to calculate your burden, so your overhead and your G&A and your profit, to get you from a pay rate to a billing rate. And you can also use it the other way. When a prime says, here's your billing rate that you're going to use, you can figure out how much you can afford to pay people. So if you want to get a copy of that, you can go to solvability.com. That's S as in Sam, OLV as in Victor, and the word ability.com. If you've got something more complicated you want to talk to me about, I'd love to have that conversation about how we might be able to work together. My phone number, my mobile number is 256-882-6276. And the best thing to do is send me a text with your name, your company, and your urgent issue, and we'll figure out when we can set up a call.